Sunday night Late Show. My next guest is no stranger to the Ed Sullivan Theater. Thanks again to President Barack Obama. Go on sale for the Obama Presidential Center tomorrow morning, and it opens on June 19th.
Here's something that doesn't add up. The #1 late-night show in America, the most watched, the most awarded, the one that just won its first Emmy got canceled. Not because people stopped watching. Not because the host wanted to leave. The show was pulling in 2.7 million viewers a night, sitting at the top of the ratings pile for 9 straight seasons, and CBS pulled the plug anyway. And the very moment Stephen Colbert said something about it on air, something that apparently made the wrong people uncomfortable, the decision was made within days. So what really happened? And why is one of the most beloved voices in late-night television packing up his desk at the Ed Sullivan Theater for the very last time? The phone call he never saw coming. Stephen Colbert was on vacation when it happened. He had no idea. His manager knew, had known for a few weeks actually, but held off on telling him. So while Colbert was somewhere away from the cameras, probably doing the kind of offline recharging that comes after years of live television, the people running CBS were sitting in rooms deciding that his show, one of the most successful franchises in the history of late-night television, was coming to an end. He didn't find out until the evening of July 16, 2025. The next morning, he walked into the Ed Sullivan Theater and told his audience himself. He beat CBS to the announcement. They had planned to do it on their own timeline. He didn't let them. What he said to that audience was striking for how measured it was. He thanked the 200 people who made the show happen every single day. He expressed deep gratitude for what had been his television home for 10 years. And then he said something that quietly broke a lot of people who were listening, that he wasn't being replaced, that the whole thing was simply going away, and that he wished someone else were inheriting it instead. That landed differently than a typical cancellation speech. It wasn't just about him stepping down. It was about an entire institution disappearing, the Late Show brand that had existed on CBS since 1993, through David Letterman's legendary 22 seasons, and now through Colbert's 11. Gone. Not handed off. Not reimagined. Just gone. The audience booed when they heard the news. Colbert looked out at them, nodded, and told them simply that he felt exactly the same way. That moment told you everything about who this man is and what that show had become to the people who watched it. The bribe comment that may have changed everything. Now here's the part of the story that people are still arguing about. 3 days before CBS made the cancellation official, Colbert did something bold on air. Paramount, the company that owns CBS, had agreed to pay $16 million to settle a lawsuit brought by Donald Trump. Trump had argued that CBS News had unfairly edited an interview with Kamala Harris during the 2024 presidential campaign on 60 Minutes. Colbert went on television and called that payment directly and plainly a payment that looked a whole lot like a bribe. 3 days later, The Late Show was canceled. CBS insisted in every official statement that the decision was purely financial, made against a challenging backdrop in late night, and had nothing to do with the show's performance, its content, or anything happening at Paramount. But the timing made that very hard to believe, and a lot of powerful people said so out loud. Senators, fellow comedians, television critics, former CBS employees, all of them started asking the same question. If this was just business, why now? Why immediately after those comments? Why cancel the top-rated show in the format right after its host publicly criticized the company's parent executives over a politically explosive settlement? Colbert himself didn't accuse anyone directly of retaliation, at least not in legal terms. But on his next episode after the announcement, he leaned into the moment with a kind of knowing disbelief that made it impossible not to read between the lines. He joked about it, but the jokes carried weight. He had always done that better than anyone, wrapping sharp political criticism inside humor so dry and intelligent it could pass as casual conversation while landing like a hammer. And that skill may be exactly what made him dangerous to the wrong people. The financial explanation doesn't fully hold. CBS says the cancellation came down to economics. Late-night ad revenue has dropped across television. Production costs are high. Streaming has changed audience behavior. Younger viewers watch clips online instead of full episodes on cable. All of that is true. But here's what makes this explanation harder to accept. The Late Show wasn't failing. It was leading. It consistently beat Jimmy Fallon and Jimmy Kimmel in total viewers. It had just won a major Emmy. It remained culturally relevant, politically influential, and digitally strong online. Clips from Colbert's monologues spread everywhere. His interviews regularly went viral. And the show still had a loyal audience. If CBS wanted to cut costs in late night, canceling the strongest performing show in the category seems like the strangest possible place to start. Especially when that show is also one of the network's most recognizable brands. Which is why so many people inside the industry believe there's more to the story than balance sheets and ad revenue. Some suspect the decision had less to do with money and more to do with keeping peace during a corporate transition. Paramount has been trying to finalize a major merger with Skydance Media, a deal worth billions. Regulatory approvals matter. Political pressure matters. Public controversy matters. A host publicly accusing the parent company of paying what he described as a bribe to a former president who could soon return to office is not exactly ideal timing if executives are trying to avoid scrutiny. Again, nobody has proven a direct link, but the sequence of events has made the speculation impossible to ignore. The legacy Colbert leaves behind. Whatever the real reason for the cancellation, what can't be argued is what Stephen Colbert built during his run. When he took over The Late Show in 2015 after David Letterman retired, there was enormous pressure. Replacing Letterman wasn't like replacing any normal host. It meant inheriting one of the most iconic desks in American television. At first, Colbert looked slightly restrained, like he was figuring out how much of himself to bring to network TV after years of playing a satirical conservative persona on The Colbert Report. But once he settled into the role, something clicked. He became not just a host, but a nightly interpreter of American chaos. Especially during the Trump years, Colbert transformed into one of the sharpest political voices in mainstream entertainment. His opening monologues became required viewing for millions of people trying to process the news through comedy. But beyond politics, he was also a deeply human interviewer. He could be absurd and theatrical one minute, then deeply thoughtful and emotionally vulnerable the next. He could talk to movie stars, presidents, novelists, activists, musicians, scientists, and somehow make each conversation feel like it mattered. He brought intellect without arrogance, satire without cruelty, and sincerity without losing the comedy. That combination is incredibly rare in television, which is why his audience stayed with him, and why so many people are taking this ending personally. The final season begins. CBS says The Late Show will officially end in May 2026. That means Colbert has several more months behind the desk before the lights go out for the last time. The atmosphere in those final episodes will probably be unlike anything late-night television has seen in years. Every guest appearance will carry extra meaning. Every monologue will feel sharper. Every standing ovation a little longer. There's already talk about who will return before the finale. Longtime friends of the show, political figures, comedians, musicians, and possibly even David Letterman himself. And viewers will be watching not just for laughs, but for clues. Will Colbert say more about what happened? Will he reveal how much he knew? Will CBS ever fully explain internal decision-making? Or will this remain one of those stories where everyone in the room understands what happened, but nobody says it plainly on paper? Colbert hasn't announced what comes next. That silence has added another layer of intrigue. Some assume streaming platforms will come calling. Others think he may step away from nightly television entirely. He has books, producing projects, voice work, political commentary, live events, plenty of options. But there's also a sense that whatever he does next won't just be another job. It will be a statement. Because endings like this tend to create second acts. And if television history tells us anything, it's that sharp voices rarely stay quiet for long. For now, the desk remains. The band still plays. The audience still fills the theater each night. And Stephen Colbert keeps walking out under the lights, smiling like always, while everyone watching knows the clock is ticking toward the final sign-off. Whether this was money, politics, corporate strategy, or all three at once, the result is the same. One of the defining voices of modern late-night television is leaving the stage. Not because viewers abandoned him, but while millions were still watching.